blessed unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is the solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. Further evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning, self-lovers. Hi, welcome back to the Self-Love Show. If it's your first time tuning in, welcome. We're so thankful you're here with us. And if you are a self-lover that tunes in weekly, we're so grateful for you. And just so you know, we do have a YouTube channel, and I'm encouraging you to go like, share, and subscribe. Same name, The Self-Love Show. Look it up. We'll put the link in the chat for you so you can easily go there and find it. Please spread the word, and have your friends like, share, and subscribe on our shows and YouTube, because it really helps broadcast the message that we're here to give on the weekly to everyone that's needing this sacred message, right? Self-love comes in a wide variety, and it looks in all kinds of ways. So it's so wonderful to just share in the essence of love together and spread the message of how to have more love and embodiment in our lives. So without further ado, we have an amazing guest today. Yay! I'm going to read her bio so we can introduce her. Josiane Marquis will be teaching how to approach food and with pleasure and with all the senses. Excuse me, Josiane. She will guide a sensorial eating experience during which people will be invited to explore food with their five senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. A part of the exploration will be blindfolded. How exciting! Too often these days, we intellectualize the process of eating. That's why Josiane wants people to bring pleasure back on the table and to listen to what their bodies needs. Mealtimes have the potential to become magical rituals. By taking time to play with food, we eat more slowly, we digest better, and we create a better relationship with food and with our body. Josiane is a certified holistic wellness practitioner, an R.H.N., Nomad chef, culinary artist, creator of transformative experiences, sacred cacao facilitator, and art director. Drawing from her creative and multidisciplinary background, she facilitates one-on-one and group coaching sessions, online classes and workshops, as well as transformative experiences. Josiane's mission is to inspire women to blossom and to live an ecstatic life. She mixes holistic nourishment, sacred sexuality, ceremonial cacao, dance, and movement as complementary modalities for growth, healing, and empowerment. She is trained in art, design, natural nutrition, herbalism, and sacred sexuality. She is also a certified yoga teacher and a raw food chef. She's a passionate entrepreneur and life lover, easily filled with the wonder at colors and nature. Known for her artistic approach in the kitchen and for the sensual cacao experiences that she facilitates, we invite you to surrender to the magic of life and to transcend the ordinary. Josiane lives in Puerto Viejo de Talamanca on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. There, in the luxurious jungle, she spends days exploring her artistic skills, creating unique experiences, drinking cacao, playing with food, dancing, making love with nature, and manifesting a life filled with magic and abundance. Yes! Amazing.
Wow, I have goosebumps.
That's your life, sister. Wow, welcome.
I guess. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me on the show. It's very nice to be here.
Oh my gosh, we're just so lovely and happy and honored. Truly, I love your work in the world, and it's exciting.
And I had the pleasure of being Josiane's roommate at a retreat in Costa Rica a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. I'm not really sure. Time is weird in my brain. And it was the sweetest. Like, I don't think that they could have put better roommates together. It was like me and one of my dear friends of 8 years and Josiane. And we all had this really awesome symbiotic movement where we'd want to come back to the room at the same time and we'd leave. And it was just this fluid moment. And I really got to share in your sweet, loving, compassion, built friendship. we shared dream space.
Yeah, thank you. It was a beautiful family, great memories.
Talking about like sensational and being in your body. I wanted to start off the conversation a little bit with, about this piece really about when we lose our just the when we lose our bodies, when we are out of our bodies, when we're not present, and just how hold on, I'll just roll into it. A lot of my work in the world is looking at we'll call it colonization, or the centralization of the intellectual body, or the intellectualizing a lot of things, which is primarily the movement of white supremacy, right? And so in that work, I've been really noticing that there's a lot where we have been disembodied from sensation and pleasure and joy, and even the harder feelings, which are there, to offer us lots of aliveness. And I want to talk a little bit more and ask you more about the intellectualizing of pleasure and the intellectualizing of food.
Yeah, such an interesting question. Like, I find that with our modern lifestyles, like, we just work and do things, and we're all like, most of our energy is here. Like, we're thinking, we're not feeling so much anymore. And we don't take the time to really sit with our body and really listen to what the body's asking and what sensations are emerging. And with food, it's so true, because like, we have to eat 3 times a day, at least that's what's communicated. And people, like, there's so many research, so many influencers, articles, books about food and nutrition, and people look for answers outside of their bodies, and it's trying to find the right way of eating, the right diet, how many calories do they, how many times should I eat, what time, all those questions that emerge. I always think of my dad, who's very intellectual and rational, and he's asking me questions of like, how many tablespoons of olive oil should we eat in a day? I'm like, what type of question is that? It's so like intellectual and really like more like quantity oriented, and it doesn't take into account like a holistic approach of what his specific body would need. So I find that because of my background, I studied art a long time ago, and I've always been like connected to my 5 senses, and also an art director. So I've approached like eating and nutrition in a more like sensorial way, even though like I study all the intellectual stuff. I want to bring back the wisdom of the body on the table, and that's what I teach people, and mostly women, of how to listen to what they need, because like they always come to me, these clients or even friends, what should I eat? Is vegan the best way? How many calories do we need, or should we eat proteins? And then I always ask them, what do you need? What do you need? Do you listen to your body? And it's just like, for me, what my philosophy is, like, there's no one diet that works for every single person, but that works for one person for their whole life. Needs change, and people have unique constitutions, and it's important that we tune into the body for what it asks. And when we do that, we realize how we start to eat differently and how we can explore pleasure more. So I've started guiding these experiences where I encourage people to get back inside, leave the brain, bring the energy downwards, connect with the heart, connect with the solar plexus chakra, where all the digestive organs are, and listen to what they feel like eating, like not what they should eat, what they feel like eating truly. And usually when you feel like eating something, you'll digest it really well and you'll assimilate it better than if you like eating what you think you should eat. Well, that was a long answer.
It's wonderful. I mean, I can honestly speak from experience from my own body and like what I've been going through with hormonal changes in the last year. I've had to change like my whole exercise regime, how I ate, what I ate. It was a huge exploration I've been in for the last 2 years to find my way back to like a balanced homeostasis with my diet, exercise, and everything. It's just, women's bodies change so much after they have children and after they age, and aging and then perimenopause. It's such a radical shift for a woman's body. And I'm really doing it with grace, I think. And it feels that way. And I'm grateful I got HRT, hormonal replacement therapy, which has been very, very radically helpful. And I just am gentle with my process with eating. And I'm just sharing vulnerably about my own experience. And it's been such an exploration. Like, I never in my wildest imagination would think I would wake up and eat bone broth right away, but that has been my go to in the morning time. Like, I do first thing out the gate, I do bone broth and with cinnamon in it. Weird, but it tastes great and it's warm and delicious, and I just drink it and sip it on the way to take my kid to school in the morning time, and it's like the first, like, enjoyment, welcoming something into my body temple after a fasting state. And yeah, it's lovely. And I was always like a wait till 11 o'clock ish to eat, and that has shifted. So I was like, I shifted the time frame of when I ate. So everything changed. The amount, the time frame, my exercise regime shifted, and what I ate.
That's really listening to the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love Josiane and Dawn. Thank you for just sharing that so personally too. Is we're bombarded with images and we're bombarded with you shoulds and we're bombarded with this ideal of what we need to be doing or how to look or how to behave, and especially around our bodies, that we actually forget how to listen to our bodies and how to listen to our pleasure. I mean, who from here or anybody who was watching, how many times were you forced to eat something as a child that you didn't like and you were like, I don't want to eat this, please don't make me, like liver? Didn't anyone else? I was like forced to eat liver and I was like, oh, and oysters.
Oh my God.
With onions? Yeah.
And it like made me gag, and it was just a really like, so we start to, I mean, how many, okay, just as a real question, how many ads on Facebook or Instagram have you gotten in the last maybe however like week that's about some sort of like random crash diet or an exercise regimen or some way to eat without something? That how many I can count probably at least 25 ads, at least.
All the time. Like, it's everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. And especially if you're a nutritionist. Yeah. And so when you're starting to, sometimes it's hard to start listening to your body when there's so many images or so many like thoughts out there. It took me, I'm 36 now. It took me probably 34 years to be like, oh, my body actually does like to intermittent fast, because then I can actually hear my body enough to know what I want to eat. My body doesn't like a lot of carbohydrates, but it doesn't not like them either, right? It's like finding the balance, overeating those things. And so I really had to get into my body. I had to pay attention like a lot. I had to be listening to that subtle and not so subtle place of what my body wanted. So I love that you're bringing food and pleasure in. I'm loving that you're bringing the focus on listening in a different way. Like, it's just important. So important.
I like what you said about being forced to eat something as a child, because that's the case for everyone. And for me, it was very particular with my food as a child. Like, my parents would bring me those buffet with like everything, like all the fancy food. And I would come back to the table with a plate that had like raw carrot sticks, raw celery sticks, like all those raw veggie sticks without any of the dips. And then the fruits. and let's say cube of jello, like anything that was like had a solid shape, colors and textures. Anything that was like a sauce or with hidden ingredients, I wouldn't be called to eat that. And they would be like, well, you cannot eat like there's all these fancy cakes. Like, no, I want to eat the fruit salad. So I would pick anything that I would recognize and that had bright colors. And that's how I liked to eat as a child. And then I didn't like any bread or pizza, hot dogs, all those things, and pasta and pies. And I was forced to eating that because I was so picky at some point. Like my parents and my caretaker like wanted me to eat those things until when I was 25, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. Like, well, maybe my body knew this whole time that I could not eat those things, you know. So I realize sometimes that if we go back to how we like to eat as a child, it brings us a lot of information because the child is very connected to the body and the senses, and the child knows what to eat without the contamination of all the different theories of food. And it's interesting to notice how we spend so much time thinking about food. What am I going to eat? Oh, darling, what are we cooking for dinner tonight? Okay, I'll go to the groceries, do the groceries and buy something. Like, we think about food all the time.
I
and
don't.
Then, well, a lot of
It
people
is
do.
as a person with ADHD, that is like literally not on my top priority. So people who love me will put like granola bars and snacks in my bag because then I'm like, shit.
Oh,
It's crazy. That is my least top priority. Anyway, go ahead.
that's
Sorry.
why we're friends. And then, but a few people take as much time to eat, like to experience the food. So people think of the food beforehand, plan the food, for those who do that. But then there's no real time that's allowed for like the deep exploration and pleasure of eating and really sitting. So how many people, for instance, is gonna bring, I've seen that so many times, take the Tupperware out of the fridge, open the lid, take a fork, and eat it standing up in front of the fridge or in front of the TV or in front of the computer. And I look at that, I'm like, you can't eat in the Tupperware. At least put it in a beautiful plate. Like, take your most beautiful plate and put it in there. Even a glass of water, put it in a wine glass. A bit of mint on it. It's just like, you deserve all that. And the practices that I teach, like the sensorial food experiences, it really came from my own journey because I've lived alone for a very long time. And a lot of people always say, well, I mean, there's no point to cook just for myself. It's just gonna eat me, so I'll eat in front of the TV. And then we don't really take the time. So really, there's no pleasure to it. It becomes functional. So I developed that as a like self-love practice. To really be like, okay, no, I deserve that $20 plate that I bought. Like, that's very fancy and beautiful. I'll plate my dish really nicely and then make sure all the colors are there. I'm gonna make it as though I'm having a date with myself. And I don't drink alcohol, but I'll have like my wine glass with like kombucha and make it like super fancy and put the playlist on it and take the time. Sit down and take the time and allow the same time as I would as if I were with someone. And I find that when we do that, we reconnect with the pleasure of food and the senses. And then food, instead of being a task that has to be done a couple of times a day, becomes like a really fun self-love experience.
Oh my gosh, ding, ding, ding for all the women out there that are single and have that experience of being at home and needing to cook for yourself and feeling like that, where you really want to share that experience with someone. This could be a way to invite that energy in, where you get to like honor your food experience and honor yourself and really like drop into that energy of what the offering is. Like, that is beautiful. I really celebrate what you're saying.
Yeah, I believe that meals and food should be ceremonies as much as anything that we do in life. Life is a ceremony. So food can be a meditation, and that's what we'll go through later today. But like really using the food as a source of energy and nourishment to exchange with nature and then set intentions, and then even manifest what we want. Because if we're using food that has high energy, we can really transmute that energy into ourselves in a different energy, and then change our life at some point, change ourselves, because the food is going to affect every single cell in our body, in our energy. That's, at least for me, my spiritual journey started with the way I changed my diet. As I said before, being diagnosed celiac, I was forced to quit gluten and then processed food, and then later I quit coffee and alcohol just because my body was not able to digest those things. And then the more you consume alive foods, the more you become alive, and the more you have energy, and the more you love yourself, the more you love your body, and then the more you feel connected to others in nature. I have goosebumps.
So true. That is so true.
And what I want to kind of like pull back on this a little bit, just like, you know, when you're magnifying and then you is I think that a lot of spiritual practices in general, correct me if you disagree, is that it's about the practices of being present and here fully, like choosing this moment and being with what is arising. So when you're with your food, when you're with your friend, or when you're with your feelings, or like actually here, because I mean the brain, right? Intellectualizing it or disconnecting from the experience of being alive and being human. So I love, and this is how I'm hearing it. So this is just my own opinion and perspective. Is like bringing it and like, hey, if we make everything a ritual or make everything a sacred prayer experience in this moment, especially food that has been touched by many hands and the seeds and generations and ancestry and this earth that has been around for like ever, you know, and just if we drop it into that moment of just presence and gratitude for it, it's like, wow, you're not eating out of the fridge, but you're making it something extra special because you're alive.
A holy experience.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh wow, my whole body is like yes to what you're saying. It's what you said, presence. Like that's the intention of any spiritual practice and meditation, is to sit with our own self and see what emerges. And we can do that as we eat, because we take so much time in the day around meals. So why not use that precious time and reverse the perspective we have on it of just like, it's not only functional, but it can be a deep source of nourishment and transformation. And how do you want to eat? Who do you want to become? And what do you want to welcome in? Like food has it's like air. When you breathe, when you do breathing practices, oxygen is one of the main nutrients for the body. Water is, and then food, if we choose wisely, has the same potential. So we can really transform it a lot there, while at the same time keeping like the pleasure of the five senses, because that's what the food like brings also, like a lot of sensations. Like just thinking about the five flavors and the temperatures and the textures, like it's so wide. Like, and for me, every time I see a plate and a meal, I think of a painting or a sculpture. It brings me back to art school, of like what the color contrast and the directions of how it plays the food, and how does it feel to the touch, you know. It's really a fun experience. Yeah.
You're really making the like mystical, and the, you know, you're bringing so much presence and connection and love and mysticism, and, you know, being with the full experience of the deliciousness of what's on the plate, right? Like fully allowing yourself to experience the deliciousness of it, right? That's so cool. I just love it. Because, you know, it's so true. Like, how many people eat on the run, eat really fast, don't give themselves the time to like enjoy. you know, and then they wonder why they don't have joy in their life or a deeper connection to life itself, right? And so this is really bringing back through your because you know how many times a day do you eat, right? Like some people are grazers, some people eat 3 meals, some people eat 2, like just depends on who you are, but it's so powerful to like bring back a holy sacred experience with your food, because then
Yeah.
that, think about that energy goes into your body and alivens all your cells. Like you're literally giving yourself an upgraded visceral experience to like become more alive through the ritual of eating in a sacred way.
Yeah. And even like in preparing the food, like that's a lot of the things I teach is like when you're touching the food itself, like your energy goes into the food. So if you're preparing it for yourself or for others, that's gonna, like, how you feel that day is gonna affect how the food is gonna feel in your body. So for instance, I cook in retreats here in Costa Rica, like women's group for a week, and then I clean my energy before, like I go see like a therapist, and then I do this whole energy cleanse just before to make sure all my emotions are balanced and I feel okay and grounded, because I don't want to get there and be frustrated, angry, and then I cooked in a rush, and then whatever I would be feeling would go in that food. So if I like, I always like plan a lot of time. I prepare ahead. I cook slowly. I put a specific playlist to go with a specific meal, because I know the sound also is going to affect the energy that's going to go in the food. And then just touching it with my hands, putting like loving intentions, and that affects really how the women feel. So I remember when they last year I was cooking in this retreat, and the women were having a circle in front of the kitchen. It was all open space, and I was massaging the kale. And then when you massage the kale, you just like really putting your hands in it, and the women had a very emotional conversation, and they started crying, and then I was like, whoa. And I could feel it. I could feel the energy, and then I kept massaging the kale, and I infused the love in there because I was receiving their energy, trying to transmute that into loving energy in the kale, kept cooking the meal, and then I served lunch. And they felt, you know, the way that the way they ate it and processed it in the body shifted the energy as well. So it's always an energy exchange between what's around me when I cook and what's in it for them when they eat after. And so there's no like a recipe is never going to taste the same for this reason. It always depends how it's made. So one of my biggest sources of inspiration is the book and movie like Water for Chocolate, which talks a lot about the emotions that we put in the food. So it's from Mexican author Laura Esquivel, como agua para chocolate. It's really, really beautiful. And however, that woman that cook feels, the main character, is infused in the food. So I really invite people to really pay attention to how they feel before eating, before cooking. So if you're arguing with your partner, take a break. Don't cook at that moment, and then come back to it later. Make sure your energy is good, because you're going to eat that right after. So if you go and eat fast food at a fast food restaurant, what is it going to taste and feel like? Fast food. You might feel more stressed after, because that's the energy that was put in it. So food is energy, like everything is energy. And we don't often see it that way, but when we pay attention to those subtle energies and listen to the body, we can see the shift. So in my dining experiences that I guide, I always invite people to eat with their hands and not with a fork, because then they have a direct connection with the food. And they always tell me that to the touch, and then they're blindfolded, to the touch, it feels different than eating, for instance, a hamburger from a fast food store, because it feels alive. They feel in their finger the vibration of the food, and then they wouldn't feel that if they're eating mindlessly and then talking and chatting and doing it in a rush. But when the only thing they have to do is sit blindfolded and not talk to anyone and feel, then they can see how the way we eat and prepare the food impacts our own health and even the way we love ourselves and our bodies. Yeah.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
That okay. I'm being kind of brave and I warned you I was slightly on the prickly side.
Perfect.
Because I grew up pretty poor, and there was not. I mean, it was like Hamburger Helper that they made, and so for the people who are listening and who are watching now, who maybe are watching us because this is a free show and this is where they can get their juicy like help without having to like afford therapy or coaching. I'm curious, what are the ways that they can take whatever it is that they can afford and really, even if it is like the $5 or $3 McDonald's or fast food burger, is there a way to raise that up into a vibration that really like will, enrich them? So they like, I mean, the image that I saw in my brain was getting a pizza with my partner or something, or with a partner, and going, let's like pray and really like blindfold and just enjoy all the sensations here and bring it to that. And I'm curious what you would say.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, you knew it intuitively. That's what you just described. Like, if whatever you're eating, it doesn't really, I mean, it matters what you're eating, but if let's say you have to eat a hamburger from or anything that doesn't have the best quality ingredients, you can always bless the food. I always start with a blessing practice before I eat, and set intentions and try to affect, because we have our own energy, try to affect the energy of what I'm eating. If you know the way it was prepared was not very conscious, change that energy. Try to like now I can see you sitting and eating a pizza or burger and really like, okay, I'm consciously infusing this meal with loving energy and divine love, and then this food is going to bring me a lot of love, and this is my intention. And you meditate on it and you welcome it with all the love, and it can change its energy. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have an impact on the way you do it. I'm not sure if that's even allowed in this show, but I just want to like do a parenthesis on something that I did last year, as I went to get a COVID shot, and I have no position on that whatsoever. But I wasn't sure I wanted to go for it, but I approached it in the same way. I'm like, I'm gonna set intention and do a ceremony and try to reverse the energy and approach it in a way that anything you're not sure about, you can really change the intention and welcome it in your body and tell your body how you want to receive it. Yeah.
I love that. So I travel a lot through the US because I really like to go. My parents live in Montana, and another parent lives in Arizona, and I travel a lot. So sometimes the only things that are open when I'm traveling are like fast food joints. And I try not to do that, but it's the way that it is sometimes. So what I like to do is I'll take whatever it is that I'm eating, and I'll be like, okay, bless this food and bless every hand that has touched it, and their generations, their family, and their workers, and everyone that they touched today, and generations, at least 7 generations back. Bless the earth that this food had touched, and the animals. And I just tried to ripple it out to a place where my love and my gratitude is rippled forward and backward through, around through time and whatever it looks like before I eat that. And it also, that again brings me into presence with it, with how much is there, like, what is the like trade and the movement of food through each country is like, I get really present to how much energy and effort it's taken to get all of this to here, to somewhere in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of Arizona, or like way east California in the middle of the desert. Like, oh, how did this all get here? And then I get to share in that moment of delight. And I'm always like, this is great. By that time I'm hungry, right?
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I find it even more powerful because you're starting with something that's as is, and then you're creating this experience around it. And I want to challenge you to, the next time you do that, to take a video of you doing that. And even like if you bring a blindfold, like will do today, like why not? You know, like sometimes people ask me like, why do you do that? Why not? Like life's supposed to be fun. Like why not bring your blindfold in the restaurant and then and eat with your hands and exploring and have the fun. You know, when we eat something with pleasure, we digest it so much better than if we eat it with shame and guilt. It's like, you know, like that bag with salt and vinegar chips I really like. Well, yeah, of course. But just make it like a fun experience instead of like hiding and eating, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's prohibitive. So for a long time, I was a raw food vegan, and I was just it was very, very strict. And I was kind of hanging out with these people who were very shamey about food. And I was like, this is expensive. Like, this is like, I mean, I like all of my money went there. And there were some things that felt better to eat. And maybe Dawn, you have this feeling, or Josiane, it was like, there was this moment where sometimes I just wanted something that brought me back to my childhood, because I felt it was like a need for nostalgia, that feeling of nostalgia, or a connection to a parental unit. So I'd be like, I want a frozen ding dong. Like, it would just be something random. And I was just like, am I a bad person? And so there was a lot of shame around what I ate for a long time. And today I specifically chose for this experience something that I don't normally eat. I got a pastry that is like super flaky and amazing, because I don't normally eat this, and I've been working out really like a lot recently, and I was like, like just kind of like so excited to eat it with you.
You know what you said about the raw vegan food? I did that for a month as well when I studied to be a raw chef on a farm, and it was so strict. Like not even like, it was that raw whole food, plant-based, like no salt, no oil, no honey. It was so strict, like for a month. And then every night I surprised myself on Instagram drooling on any post-egg photos I would see. It was like porn. Like it was so orgasmic. I'm like, oh man, I want to post egg. I want egg. And the teacher was just so strict about it. Like if I mentioned the word salt, he would get very angry. Like, salt is bad. Like, okay, so I would try not to trigger him and follow what he was teaching, because like that's how I learned to cook very creatively. So I'm very grateful for that. But every Tuesday we would go to the farmer's market to sell the produce from the farm. And when I asked for my food break, I would go and order the scrambled eggs, a little coffee while he was not looking, and go eat outside so far, hide behind, because I knew it would trigger him. And I would eat stressed out with those like plantain chips. Like, oh, and I would just eat that, and it was so good. I would take the time, but I would be stressed that he would see me. But you know what we are looking for is like the opposite. Like if it's too extreme, the body wants the opposite energy after a while. So it's not very balanced, and you're craving. So because like raw food is very expensive in the energy, it brings you upward and very airy. You need something to contract in the end and go with back in. So like eggs and chips.
Wow, what an experience.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I'm really hearing you say that it's really about, you know, that was a choice of bringing you back to listening to your own intuition, truly, because his way wasn't your way. As much as it was, I'm sure it has its benefits being very strict with your diet for healing purposes, probably for some people. But, you know, eventually, you know, we're pleasure seeking. We're hardwired to seek pleasure in our humanness. And so it's denying our own human experience to not allow pleasure. Not allow ourselves. Now, if you're overindulgent, then that's one thing to look at. You know, if you're really like all the time, like all you're eating is things for pleasure, then that's that's not the that's not what we're going for. But occasionally, like Trish, this is something she never eats, but she chose it today for this specific reason. And that's, if you look at how much joy, she hasn't even eaten it. And there's so much joy there, right? I'm using you as an example.
I had a bite.
Oh. Okay, that's good. But, it's just like, it's again, coming back to that place of like homeostasis with our eating practice, I think, around like allowing ourselves to, when we want that thing, to give it to ourselves, as long as it's in alignment and we're listening to what our body needs.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that all sounds really right. And I like that you said that, like the face of Trish, that she really wants to eat it. Like that's an important point, because if you've been sitting in front of it for like, I don't know, 45 minutes now, that like it helps you salivate and you're excited about it. And that's like your digestion has already started. And then the fact you're so excited to eat it, that part is very important in the experience. Instead of just like, oh, eat it and then I forget, and I it's like it didn't happen. No, like you make it a full event, and then you'll digest so well, and then it's going to be even more pleasurable. Yeah.
In saying that, I just want to say hi, Sage. Thanks for watching and commenting. She's very excited. She's eating eggs right now. So,
Oh my God. I get to
yeah.
enjoy you watching that, eating that.
So I just want to say, for everybody who's watching in the present or on the replay, now might be a good time to get a little snack or something so that you can also enjoy with us and have Josiane take us through a little moment. So go get your snack. You got just a couple seconds. Oh, don't worry, we'll wait for you, and it's okay. You can always pause the video and come back. So
Yes.
I'd love to invite you to take us through. I am going to do a little of that.
Yeah. Woo. I just wanted to say that you can do this practice with a snack or full meal, and I'm gonna guide it in a certain way this morning, but it's a tool that you can use then at home and do it on your own anytime you eat. And you can make it simple or you can make it a full experience. So if I do it in person, sometimes I'll put usually I would put a playlist. So when whatever's happening this morning, you can repeat at home with your playlist of choice. Again, with a conscious intention of like what sort of energy I want to be in the music. Like, is it like a soft, or is it like more like Latin vibe, or just think about how you want to feel, because then you'll eat following that playlist. Like, it's like a theater play almost. Because sound is part of the experience. So today we'll do it without any sound, just my voice.
Yay!
Yay! Oh my God, this is exciting.
Do I need to put my blindfold on?
Soon. So we'll start with we'll start with our two eyes so we can see. Wow. So first, I invite you to just sit like comfortably, like really relax your body. Now we've been talking a lot. We've been in our brain. Just center, close your eyes. And I just want you to feel where you are. Feel your body. Feel the support of your chair, the air around you, wherever you are. And just slow down and be in the present. And we'll take a few breaths together, because the whole point is to tune in with like our parasympathetic system to really relax and allow the body to welcome the food and digest it really well. So together we'll take 3 deep breaths and we'll exhale through the mouth, and I encourage you to make like just like a sound, so it really it helps expel all the air. So together, inhale, exhale, inhale, one more time, inhale, You can shake your body a little bit. Open your eyes when you feel ready. And just like maybe drop your shoulders, drop your abdomen, really relax any part of your body that feels contracted and create space in your body to welcome that food. Yeah. So first, bring your food close to you. And I invite you to put your hands, so we don't really see, I don't see your food, but I'm assuming it's just in front. And then put your hands above it and feel the energy of it. You can show it maybe at Trish and Dawn to the camera. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, together. So yeah, so just bring in front of you and feel the energy that's already available in the food. We're not going to eat just yet because there's a whole introduction, so you can really anticipate it and connect. It's okay if you ate a bite. No, don't.
Chocolate.
This is not serious.
Chocolate.
So feel with your hands the energy of the food. Feel if it's alive or if it needs more love. And set an intention for the day. What do you want infused in that food as of your own energy that you're feeling today? And what would you like to receive from it? How would you like to feel after? So this is a practice. Like this is another sort of spiritual practice. Setting intention is super important, and be present with your food. And then when you feel like you have your intention, you can open your eyes. And I would like you to thank, if you prepared yourself, thank yourself for preparing, like putting all this energy and effort into it. If someone else prepared it or harvested it, think of all the people who touched the specific food or foods, if it's a full meal. Think of everyone who put their love in it, and just give thanks. And try to see these people and feel them within your heart. And yeah, just be grateful for the farmers, the people who harvested, the people who brought it to the store. You went to buy it. That's a lot of work, a lot of energy. And then I want you to bring the food close to your solar plexus. So let's say here, or here, below your chest, like underneath, above your nostril. A nostril. That's not the word, right?
I have yogurt too.
Oh, good. That looks good. So
Yeah, you're not
bring the food. Yeah. So what's this then?
That's one.
No,
There's
but
two.
I'm talking about your belly button.
Ah!
Different. We'll bring to the nostrils later. Sorry, French Canadian. Bring it just above your belly button, so close to like all your digestive organs, because that's where the digestion is going to happen. And it doesn't only matter what you eat; it matters like what you able to assimilate from it. So start a conversation with that food and your solar plexus. Yeah, exactly. And welcome the energy of that food and ask for your digestive organs to welcome them and digest them, and use that energy for your whole body so that you feel more alive after. And then when you're done with that, you can bring the plate in front of you, and I want you to start looking at it, even though you've been looking at it for a while, and start to anticipate the flavors and the sensations and the pleasure of eating. So like stretching the time before you eat also like creates more anticipation, and it's teasing you. It brings more pleasure because you really want it. Try to notice if you're like producing saliva, like drooling on the food, how your body's starting to react. Like maybe you're just like, body is starting to move in anticipation of eating that. And maybe pay attention to if there's a part of your plate, bowl, glass, whatever you're eating or drinking right now. If there's any part of it, any texture, color that calls for your attention, that feels like it wants to be eaten right now, that today you feel like, today, that green is really calling me, or that cream and that pastry is really calling me. Like observe, like, do I really want to eat that thing that I brought in front of me? And how is my body reacting in the anticipation of eating it? And I want you to observe. So we'll start entering in the five senses. Again, with your eyes. What are the choices that you made today for your self-love meal experience? What shapes did you choose? Like if you had to cut something, in what shape did you cut it? If you're eating whole, what shape does the food have? What colors? Is it all the colors of the rainbow? Is it all one color? Is it like solid, or is it liquid, or is it creamy? Like really observe the choices that you made and see why you made those choices. And that will tell you information about the type of food that you want to eat. And then we don't have music right now, but maybe your food's making some sort of sound. Who knows, a bubble. Or maybe you're imagining a playlist. Or maybe if you're at home, put a playlist right now and listen to that. And when you do that ritual again at home, I invite you, oh my God, I invite you to really choose that playlist and allow yourself to feel transported and travel with the music. And then now is the time for the nostrils. A lot of the food experience comes through aroma from smell. So bring whatever you're eating close to your nose and smell it. So if it's multiple ingredients or parts, just smell each one of them. Like deep breath in, like as though you're smelling a good wine, and explore the flavor, the smell profile of what you're eating. Does it smell sweet? Does it smell acidic? Does it smell like earth? Does it smell like
This one smells like like it's coconut, chocolate, lilies.
Yeah, and then as you smell, like feel it in your body. Again, like notice how your body's reacting every time you're exploring with a different sense. And there's a specific smell that you like. And as you smell, you can start to guess like how it's gonna taste. And now before tasting, I want you to touch the food with your fingers, like with your hands. So today, forks and spoons and knives or chopsticks or straw are not allowed as you explore. So you have a spoon down and maybe try with your fingers.
I did.
Yes. Start to touch it and feel the texture in your hands, on your fingers. Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it creamy? Is it crunchy? Like, how does it feel like? And then maybe just start bringing one bite into your mouth as you still have your eyes. Soon we'll go blindfold. And then put the first bite. Oh, I'm salivating, Facebook user. Great. That's the whole point. Thank you. We are. I don't even have food and I'm salivating for all of you guys. Put in your mouth. Grapes. And then keep the food in your mouth. Don't swallow it just yet. Roll it around in your mouth. You know, when you're tasting wine, you're rolling it all different corners of your mouth so that all the different taste buds can explore that piece of food. And notice how your body reacts again, how it feels. And I start to notice now, like Trish has her eyes closed. So we naturally, when we want to explore pleasure, we naturally close our eyes. So when you're done with the first bite, that you really feel slowly in your mouth, I invite you to put your blindfold. And you'll notice that when we lose sight, sorry, Trish, yeah?
Using my mask, just in case you now have a bunch of masks.
Great, a sleep mask and a face mask. Repurposing. Great. You'll notice when you lose, I'm sorry, Dom?
I want to see what her mask looks like.
Well,
okay.
for you guys to share any photos of you with your mask eating after on social media. You look beautiful. I like it. I like it. And that's my guilty pleasure, to watch people eat blindfold when they don't see me. It's very exciting. When we lose sight, we notice that since we spend most of the day with our sight overstimulated, we don't give enough room for the other senses, and now we don't see anymore. You'll start to feel things differently. That bite might feel different. So now you've noticed where your plate was because you saw it before. Start exploring with your fingers the food that is in your plate or in your glass or in your bowl, and bring it consciously with your fingers in your mouth and start to feel it in a different way.
Eat it or not?
Yes. If you feel like it. And if it's chocolate, you can let it melt. Like, really explore it the way your body is asking. Maybe you want to put it on your lips and let it melt. Maybe you want to put it in your mouth. Let it melt slowly, warming up with your mouth. If it's a strawberry, how do you approach it? How do you chew it? What does it feel when the strawberry bursts or the raspberry bursts in your mouth? Or that nut that you're eating that's crunchy? Like, what that taste explosion feels like.
It's
And
delicious.
really allow, yeah, huh? How's that pastry, Trish?
It's so good. Crunchy, and it has that crystallized sugar, which I'm realizing how much I really like the crunch, like the sound of the crunch in my mouth and at the base of my eardrum, you know? That's exciting.
Yeah. Keep exploring. You might notice that you're enjoying food in a different way, that some textures are more pleasant than others, like cream or cold, like that yogurt gum, or warm or saucy or crunchy. Explore it. And then, since you don't see anymore, like, maybe the flavors, the sensations, the textures, allow you to travel somewhere else, like a meditation. So whatever you feel like now, the different spices, the, I don't know, the bitterness of the chocolate or anything you're eating right now, let it transport you somewhere else if you want to. You can imagine you're somewhere else right now. You're not in this live show anymore. You're in your own journey, your own space, and look around where you are and what it feels like, what it tastes like. Like, it's rich, it's abundant. You can use food to manifest, like food magic, and let all those sensations create this environment around of you that you want to be in. Make it pleasurable, make it fun. And then maybe like even like you can move your body at the same time and breathe. Like, breathing really helps explore the flavors like in more depth. And sounds, yes, all of that is all allowed. Like, yeah. You can keep smelling and touching, and if you have different types of foods in your plate, like, notice how you're maybe mixing them. Like, are you using the things one by one separately, or you're more tempted to mix everything to have that one perfect bite that has all the different little flavors?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your behavior like, and why do you do that, and how does it feel in your body?
It tastes good like that.
Uh-huh.
Them individually, and now I'm like experiencing them together.
Yeah, it feels different. You can reverse the order, adjust the quantity. You can lick your fingers if you want. You can lick the plate. No one's watching.
I just took a sip of coffee, and because this is so sweet, it was almost like a palate cleanser, like the bitter and the aroma was just kind of like a slight like an exciting shock to my system. You know, I was like, oh, that, and I love that dark feeling of kind of acidic bitter. Back to the sweet, crunchy, velvety, kind of like fatty with blueberries is so good.
Wow, what a beautiful share. And that's all very interesting, because when you start practicing that more often, then you can like play with all the different flavors: sweet, salty, bitter, pungent, sour, and all the different textures, like crunchy, creamy, liquidy, and then temperatures, and play and explore.
The 3 different types of chocolate that I chose were like really uniquely different. They taste so different.
Do you taste them more with your eyes closed?
Do I like it more with my eyes closed?
Do you feel the flavor enhanced?
Yeah, I do feel the flavor enhanced. It's a really unique experience to actually eat blindfolded.
And that apple.
And I love the combination of like the raspberry, the 3 different chocolates, and then the yogurt. It's like the yogurt is kind of tart and a little tangy. It's like Greek yogurt with honey. But it's delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, when we take the time, you can feel all those things. And that's very simple, like basic food that anyone can eat every day that can really transform.
It's satisfying.
Yeah. It's very satisfying to watch you.
I would really sad if you were in the room.
Well, you can stay there as long as you want and explore the sensations, or you can come back whenever you feel like to pursue the show. Because I bet we're not going to eat like this for 2 hours.
Awesome.
But I invite you to repeat that on your own at home. And maybe you can do that with friends, or like alone first, even with your partner, with friends. If you have kids, that's so fun. Like playing with kids and having them explore the different flavors. Sometimes they might start eating things that they would reject before. Because their mind is like, no, I don't eat green veggies. And then all of a sudden, ooh, blindfolded, they might like the texture and flavor. So maybe try it.
Oh,
you know, when I was like eating these raspberries, I had this memory come of me pushing my child in the shopping cart when he was very, very young. Like he was a baby, like he had just started eating, but he liked fruit a lot when he was, you know, still a toddler. And every time I'd go in the grocery store, I'd have to like go in the door that wasn't by the produce, or he would freak out. Like if he saw blueberries, he would lose it. He would be like pointing, and I would just throw a fit to go over to the blueberries, and I would have to like give him blueberries, and I'm like, I'd have to like dump my water in the aisle, like to wash him a little bit to like give it to him because he was freaking out. Like anytime I went to the grocery store, that's what he wanted. So this eating the raspberries reminded me of that moment. It was so adorable. He just like loved blueberries when he was young.
I like how memories come back also through the senses. And also smell can call back memories. So you can like, it can allow you to live like all memories again.
Yeah.
And maybe that could also trigger some emotional response. So be open to what arises in the experience and sit with it and then just in presence and just welcome it with gratitude.
It's amazing how like the little bites of food that I gave, my body feels very like, yum. Like, and I feel like satiated in a way, even though it was just a small amount. It's like interesting to just give yourself the space to just be fully satiated by the feelings, the senses.
Yeah, because you feel nourished.
Yeah. And that was my intention.
Oh,
that was my intention. That's awesome. You nailed it.
Thank you.
I asked for nourishment.
And you got it.
Oh my goodness. What a bliss. Josiane, I'm so glad that you took my offer to come on the show and really just love us up and share your wisdom, your just juicy presence and your friendship. Like, and thanks for enjoying us enjoying.
You can watch yourself again after.
In the polyculture world, that's called compersion of some kind. You know, like there's different styles of compersion. When you enjoy someone else, or in poly, it's when you enjoy your partner enjoying themselves.
I like that.
But it really relates to a lot of areas of life. It's like when Dawn wins or when she's really excited, I'm like, yeah! You know, like that's like this compersive moment where I'm celebrating your enjoyment or celebrating Josiane's enjoyment. So thank you for conversing with us. And really inviting us to get more sensational and to bring us back into our bodies and into our pleasure for today. Thank you. I'm going to put in all of her information so that you can find out when she's doing another one of these, or you can find her coaching. Tell us a little bit about what you do offer.
Several things, actually. I'm like a multidisciplinary artist and holistic wellness practitioner. But starting in June, I have a, let's say, 12-week online program called the Blossom Experience. It's for women only, a small group. It's a weekly 2-hour meeting. And then actually it's a mixture of teachings and experiences and sharing, and where I guide women to reconnect with their body through holistic nutrition, sacred sexuality, hormonal health, the exploration of your feminine energy, creative energy, cacao rituals, a whole bunch of different things. And the whole point of it is really so that they can really expand and open and transform and blossom using all these tools and modalities and even emotional release, so that I can really just become. So that starts early June. There's like a cacao that's included in the price. There's also a one-on-one coaching session with me that's included. I also do one-on-one coaching, like consultations and holistic like health. Whatever you would need, it's all customized. And online, I think that's pretty much it. So for those who are in Costa Rica, soon I will start doing like sensorial dinner experiences here. Stay tuned. And stay tuned on my Instagram because lots is happening right now.
Awesome. That's cool. What a great thing.
I put that in.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yay.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
This was so fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow, it's like 12/12, May 12, my time.
Yes.
And 12 is like closure, some sort of. It's interesting.
11:11 here, and
Oh,
just shifted to 12. But Dawn, do you have something?
Yes. For those gorgeous women seeking to level up their relationship everything, right? I invite you into Reclaim Your Trust. We have a beautiful, beautiful women's group that is growing by the day, and we have amazing women in there. I just hosted a 4-day Sovereign Queen Challenge. I might host another one in the near future soon. Doors are open for my program. And actually, do you have that link, or do we need me to put it in the chat? I have you have it? Okay, awesome. So I have an amazing link that you can actually find me if you're interested in discussing how to participate in the 9-week Sovereign Queen journey. So it's 9 weeks, and we will go through all the different, trust initiation, come home to love, reawaken your feminine fire, align and take soul action, claim your gold within. There's so many good juicy modules. We're going to have 9 weeks of full calls, and it's experiential. So you're going to get an actual experience of working your process and learning how to lay down the tough curriculum that has been in the way of you having the love you really are seeking in your relationships. So it's about finding the barriers that we hold in ourselves that are preventing us from fully having the love life and the life we truly desire. So it's really a deep exploration. It's an opportunity to be experiential and have experiential learning alongside your beautiful sisters. It's a group experience, and I'm so grateful. The doors are open, and the program will start May 25th. So if you're curious, you want more information, or you want to strategize what your next steps for your healing are, it's free. I invite you to, I'm going to throw the link for you, Trish, because it's actually, one sec. Share something, and then I'll come back with the link. Let me just grab it.
Okay. There's just, yeah. Dawn has a lot of things going on.
Yes.
And there's a lot of really cool moments that she has. You can find her on Linktree, and she's got a lot of, she's got her heroine's journey, the Sovereign Queen. You can actually sign up for your 30-minute strategy call there.
There you go. I put the link. Grab your free session.
Great. There you go.
Dang it.
Yeah. Right?
Technology gets me every time. Yeah, the code might be wrong because of the little, let me grab it one more time. It puts an extra little slash at the end, which makes it not work for some reason. Yeah.
And I also want to say thank you to Dawn for your love and commitment to the show. And Josiane, thank you for your time, because time is one of the most precious resources that we have. It's like the only unrenewable resource that we have. So sharing your time, both of you, is a precious, precious gift and honor. And thank you for being present while you're here and really gifting us with.
Well, thank you for inviting me to the show, and for surrendering to, and trusting that experience, blindfolded, and exploring the food with pleasure. That was, really, really, really fun. Thank you.
I trust you.
I know you do.
I'd love to give a shout out to Sign Network, as well as Scott Katamas and Love Coach Academy for being our muse and for running us out on multiple different pages. Thank you again for your love and your kindness. And we'll see you all next week.